So here we are restoring another one. So this is the 73 ST16 16 horsepower overhead valve Tecumseh. I already took a bunch of parts off of it. Next time you see this, it'll be tore completely apart. So a little bit of advice for anybody that's taking one of these apart and you want to get the clutch rod out. So first of all, with the tractor tilted completely on its side, what you want to do is get a lubricant like PB Blaster or something, squirt in there, you let it soak for like 10-15 minutes. You want to go ahead and get these set screws taken out because otherwise it won't come off. Pound on those to get it out. You want to take a hammer with like a flathead screwdriver and just rock the keyway out and get the keyway out. And then what you want to do is either take just a simple piece of sandpaper, wrap it around the shaft, or like a drill with a wire wheel like I just did, and this will just come right off just like that. No big deal. So it looks a little bit different now. That thing was absolutely disgusting. You can see this transmission here, there's so much grease on like everything. If it wasn't rusty, it at least had a few layers of oil on it. Like this front axle, or the front half of the frame here, that is disgusting. This piece here, I'm not going to touch it right now because I'm clean, but that thing is filthy. I took that off because it's either that piece or the frame is actually wore and it wobbles, which I'm trying to figure out how it can even wear out because it's so full of oil. I mean, everything is just disgusting. I mean, normally those are not even close to being full of grease, and they are, so I mean, that's kind of a good thing, but I don't know. Usually that's a bad sign for the engine, but engine itself didn't really seem that bad, but I mean, even the transmission is just covered in it. I know this leaks a little bit. It leaks through the high and low range lever. So I'm probably not going to use this transmission. I'm just going to use another one that doesn't leak. Probably end up putting another one in. It doesn't leak that bad, so maybe I'll use this one. I've got like 4 or 5 of them that don't leak, so anyway, next time you see this, it should at least be cleaner. So until then. Okay, so quite a bit has happened since the last little section of the video. I went ahead and I got everything pressure washed, came back, and now it's dirty again. So as you can see by the floor, there was actually quite a bit of paint that was on this thing. So I loaded it up on this pallet. This is the entire tractor besides the engine, and I guess some other small little parts. I got some of these tie rods and stuff already painted. So these actually look really nice. So for tie rods and stuff, I always just use this. It's just aluminum, metallic aluminum, I think is what they call it. It makes all the tie rods look like brand new almost. So just one of those little touches. Did that on the throttle too. Need to put the decal on, but yeah, just makes it look a little bit fresher instead of just painting them the tractor color. Maybe while I'm at it, I'll show you that engine. That's just over here in the dark. There's the engine. I already went ahead and I painted those engine covers. I am going to do a different exhaust on there. I just painted it until here. This is in like flat black engine paint. I decided to paint all my engines pretty much no matter what the same color, because then that way if for some reason something happens to this engine or something else happens where this engine goes into another tractor, I don't want a yellow engine in a blue tractor, or to keep repainting it, because repainting engines isn't really that good because getting the paint off is the problem. So I just paint them all black. By the time you put the fan shroud on and pulley covers and all that, you won't even see it anyway. So I think next time you see this, it should be painted. Alright, so A lot of stuff has been painted. Actually, the whole thing has been painted. So we got a pallet full of miscellaneous parts that were painted. Engine is already assembled. We got the battery tray and the tires. So some of this stuff is kind of not in the best shape. As you can see, all the rust that is on this battery tray, it's definitely not the greatest, but luckily the fuel tank is going to cover that up. The engine, so here's the frame on the back of my tractor forklift, since my other one broke. Some of you might recognize this tractor. It's kind of a mess, so I turned it into the forklift. So anyway, that's not going to show how much of that, because that thing's kind of a mess. But here's the frame. I decided I'm going to basically have the whole thing rolling chassis, and just like the last one, once it's all put together, I'm going to paint the dash. I'm not even going to take the steering wheel off. It's so rusty right there. And down here, I don't really want to grind this gear off and pound that out. I don't really want to do that. So I'll just leave the dash on there. It'll be a little bit harder to wire stuff, but I guess oh well. I see I could have got a little bit nicer job here, but I think the dash covers that, so that's, I guess, okay. So next time you see this, it'll be partially assembled. So as you can see, I got quite a bit done since the last part of the video. I had a little whoopsie where I peeled off part of the old sticker that I apparently didn't get wire wheeled off, and I had to touch up paint that, and I'm not sure why I did that now, because I wanted to work on this thing now. And I had a little bit of grease that was on the paint there, and I painted over it. So I got a paintbrush and I painted both of those over. These front tires are in really bad shape, and the paint job on the wheels are kind of matching it. The paint job there, and this side here, it gets even worse. So I'll probably end up putting new tires on the front, or at least switching it with something else. Little bit of advice for anybody that's got a tractor that they split the frame in half to paint and put back together. So first thing is, you want to put these bolts here in just like finger tight first, just to hold the bolt in, because it's really hard to reach around with the bolt in your hand to try to get that bolt in. So I just put those in just so it's a lot easier, because you can easily get the wrench up there to hold it. And the other thing, the clutch pedal and floorboards or whatever. So you want to get these two side frame pieces on, but don't tighten the bolts down tight. Same thing with the floorboards. So then when you're pushing the clutch pedal in, it'll just slide right in, instead of fighting with the frames not being lined up quite right. Since the three pieces, they can move a little bit and not be lined up. So when you're shoving that in, have it loose, it'll go in way easier. So I got the dash bolted down just a little bit so I can paint that once this thing is kind of put together. I wasn't going to even bother grinding the gear on the bottom or trying to take the steering wheel off, because that's so rusty. So I'll just paint it on. Have to figure out how to get this switch right there out. So when I wire this, I'll just wire it up and just have the stuff kind of hang here. So next time you see this, it should at least have 4 tires on it. So the pallet is looking empty. Now all those parts are on the tractor. So it's at the point now where I can set it down and I have a rolling chassis. With this forklift, it made it so easy to put this thing together that it saved me a lot of hassle, that's for sure. Because normally with the transmission, you're kind of fighting with the tractor, trying to keep it steady without it tipping over. And like putting these rear tires on, it wants to kind of tip like this on the jack stands. But on this forklift, it's nice and sturdy. So let's put it down. There we are. So that's the first time it's been down on four wheels since I tore it apart. And yes, that forklift is remote control. Was a little slow because I think the battery's getting dead for going up and down so many times without running it. So yeah, next time you see this, I should have it wired up. And then I'm going to probably let it sit for a little bit because this paint is still super wet. I painted it like 2 days ago and it's still, you gotta be really careful. So that'll probably be it for a little while after the wiring. I don't really want to scrape up the front half of the frame getting that engine in there. So we're coming soon. Alright, so I got the small mess of wiring in. I just tested it and it seems like everything works. I just hooked it up to the old booster and I put my tester on everything and it said everything works. So what I'm going to do for the headlight wiring is this wire here will go to the bolt for the front grille. And then these two tabs here will go to the headlight 1. And these will also hook to that headlight. And then this is basically just a jumper to go to the second one. The rest of it's hooked up. I decided to use one of these fuses instead of the factory one. I'll probably end up taking that aluminum plate back out so I can paint the dash. I'm just getting ready to actually put the engine in and then probably hook the wiring up and hook the battery up to that and see if it works, and then I'm probably going to paint the dash, and then that'll be probably it for right now until that dries. So that's probably going to be it for this video. Next video it should be running and driving. Thanks for watching.